Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have an outstanding guest. It's a person that you should know, Kenya M.D. Gray. Oh, she's a coach, a lifestyle coach, a healthy lifestyle coach. She's an author, she's a speaker, she's a singer, and she's an actor, and all of the above. Good evening, Kenya.
Good evening. How are you?
We want to thank you for taking time, literally from your busy schedule, to be on Community Forum to let Lake County know who you are. And by the way, if you have not been known all over the world, you will be after this show.
Amen.
Because all the audience have to do is go to drbrooks.tv and they can watch you in Australia and Japan and wherever.
Fascinating.
And this is a program that everyone should know about. But first of all, I want you to tell our listening audience a little bit about your personal and professional background.
Okay, so pretty much my background has been mostly in mental health, like career-wise, mostly in mental health. So I went to school to UIC back in the 90s and graduated, and I began working in like sort of the mental health facilities. I worked at Allendale Association. I've worked at A Safe Place. I've worked at Lake County Health Department, just working with families. Psychology is my specialty. Okay. Just recently, in the last 4 years, I actually have gone into education. So I work at a school as a senior admissions advisor at State Career College. So sort of switched up a little bit. And pretty much what I do at the college is a lot of coaching. I'm really helping people to decide upon a career choice and helping to make sure that they're ready to make that decision and ready to make that change in their lives to go to school. So I do a lot of coaching in that aspect. And once we get them in the door, they come in my office and we talk about how they can continue to be successful and graduate.
Well, tell us about the importance of healthy lifestyle coaching, and what is a typical day?
Well, for the importance of healthy lifestyle coaching is that we are not just one part. We are spirit, soul, and body. Okay. And what I like about healthy lifestyle coaching is that you have to look at all areas of your life and how every area is impacted. It's not all about diet and exercise. It's about emotional wellness. How are you doing emotionally? How have you dealt with issues and trauma in your life? How can you move forward from those issues and be a success in spite of those? Also the spiritual side. A lot of times in the secular world, we forget about the spiritual importance of having faith and believing in God and having a faith community. All of these things are very important in who we are as a whole being. And we definitely have to explore all those areas when we're talking about being healthy.
You know, well, what piqued your interest in going into this area?
Well, I was really very unhealthy. You know, at a certain point in my life, in my 20s, I was obese. I gained a lot of weight, and some of it had to do with issues in my marriage. Some of it had to do with just being a child of divorce. Also losing my mom when I was age 17. She was young, you know, very young, 46 years old. I haven't even made 46 just yet. And really seeing all those things over the years, I knew that it was important for me to get healthy. Once I started on that path, I began to work with Weight Watchers after I lost my weight with them, and really was helping other people to lose weight. But I realized that it's not just about the physical. If your mental health is not together, whatever you did physically to help yourself be healthy, you're gonna go back and revert back to those same habits if you have not dealt with the spiritual and the mental component. So I know that it is important to deal with all areas. That's why it's so fascinating for me, because people in our community, my mother was a great example. Now, my mother visibly, if you had seen her walking around, you'd think that she was okay, you'd think that she was healthy, she wasn't overweight. However, the stress that she carried, everything that she was dealing with, her heart wasn't healthy. And people don't realize how much stress and some of our unhealthy habits have an impact on who we are.
This is fantastic. You know, I always remind people that God placed us here for a purpose. We're here not by accident, right? We have a purpose-driven life. And the sooner we find out what that purpose is, the better we are. Because we have a date of birth, dash,
Right.
date of death. And it's what you do between a dash what counts as far as God is concerned.
Absolutely.
And I have to congratulate you on thinking about helping others. And this is what it's all about, right?
Yes.
In other words, you're not thinking about what's in it for me.
Right.
You think about helping others.
Exactly. Because losing a mom at an early age was a traumatic experience for me. It was hard. It changed the course of my life and how I navigated life. It's different when you're growing up and you have your parents as you get older and get married and start having children. It's a totally different thing when you lose that vital person in your life. Because when you're growing up, you think, oh, we're going to grow old together. That's always the thought. I'm going to grow old, you know, with my parents. I'm going to watch them get older and take care of them. So the perception changes and you realize that life is sometimes shorter than we think it is. And so in that time, we have to live well and increase the possibility of longevity by how we live.
I have to interject. When I was 2 years old, my father left the home. So I was left there with my mother and my aunt to be raised by them. And so I had to, I didn't know what father was, right? So when I got married and started raising children, I had to lean on God to lead me and guide me to raise my 3 children.
And they're amazing.
And by the grace and mercy of God.
They're amazing children. So, grown-ups now.
They're retired. I have one that's retired, But, you know, in other words, you give lectures too, right?
I do. I go out to different groups. I've been to mostly women's groups because my focus is women, because I am a woman and I realize that we are the ones that are the most likely to have a heart attack or have these health concerns that take us out, literally. So I do like to talk to the women because I feel that even though we have men as the head of the home, the women are the strength of the home. They're the ones that keep everything together and everything moving, you know, smoothly. So we need that woman. We are helpmeets. So we need to make sure that the helpmeet is helped.
Well, you evidently you've good in your scriptures. If more women would realize what you have just reiterated, you know, we have our families would be stronger.
Absolutely.
But we have do you think that women try to bring more on themselves and try to take over the role of the man? Is the reason why they have so much stress on them?
I think a lot of it has to do with the way the dynamics of our communities are, our families are. Most of our families now, a great percentage are single moms raising families. And so when you are a single person raising a family, especially as a woman, you have to sometimes take on that role because sometimes those men are not there to really step in and do their part, unfortunately. And I commend you for not having that father in the home and still being able to be a strong father because everybody doesn't know how to navigate and do that properly. So it's almost like this cycle that keeps moving forward. It's a child of a single mom, and then because they really haven't had that male figure or those mentors or haven't taken heed to what they've learned, it becomes a cycle and more single moms. And then that does put stress on that woman because she wants to do everything she can to provide for that child. And that's the thing about a mom. You know, I always tell people, I'm not a fighter at all, but don't mess with my kids.
Right. Okay.
You got to fight on your hands then. So
I've heard that many times.
Right. Mama bear. So we are naturally nurturers of our children.
Okay.
And so finding the balance between nurturing and working and trying to pay bills and hold everything together, that can be too much. So we do take on that responsibility. And a lot of times we put things on ourselves.
In addition to that, let's talk about your early educational background.
Okay.
You know, education is the key. Right?
Yes.
In addition to all the things you have mentioned, what about education, the role of education?
Education is so important. I really am thankful to my parents for actually sending me to Catholic school.
Okay.
Not saying that other schools are not good, but we learned the value of communication, the value of reading and writing, and learning how to really navigate through the world. What I see in a lot of these children nowadays, some of them don't even know how to spell. They don't know proper grammar. They don't know how to conduct themselves in business. So I think having that Catholic school education, Lakeshore Catholic Academy, yes,
Okay.
that was really helpful. And then moving on to Carmel. And then I went to University of Illinois at Chicago, which was an amazing school because not only did it teach me the education book-wise, it really taught me how to communicate with people of different cultures and different ethnicities. It was a really diverse campus. So that was helpful for me too, because now in my life, I know how to talk to different people from a lot of different walks of life. And that's important when you're running a business, when you're dealing with people. You have to recognize their differences and how it affects them.
You have progressed educationally, and it's because of your initiative and your desire to get ahead. I understand you will be working towards your PhD.
That's
soon,
right, absolutely. Coming up here. Starting next year, 2020, the next decade is about Dr. Gray.
Well, we look at your name on the screen. It's Kenya M.D. Gray, and so you want to make this a reality, a real doctor, right?
Yeah, MD is actually Mary Darlene. I was named after my maternal and my paternal grandmother, so they are honored in my name. So wherever I go, they are with me.
Fantastic. You mentioned about education. In the schools now, they have they don't have cursive.
Cursive, yeah, they don't.
That's amazing. What's taking the place of cursive?
I have no idea. That's a good question. What I think is really valuable. So my daughter is part of a girls group, and this is a person you should know. I don't know if you've ever met Barbara Young Powell, but she is the founder of Plan, Purpose, and Promises, and also Yoked Ministries.
Okay.
And what they do is they are mentoring young boys and girls ages around 8 to 13. So they are mentoring them and teaching them, things that they should know. They teach them about their purpose. They teach them about cursive writing. That's one of the things they actually work on, so that they keep that in there so they know what they're doing as far as signing their name, and because they don't have them in the schools. And so now we have to, sort of bring it in ourselves as parents and have programs that deal with it, because the school does not value it anymore.
So applications to schools, you work, they don't accept paper applications anymore. It's all from the computer.
Everything is computer now.
Even the high school preparation, I noticed at the junior colleges, the training around the computer.
Yeah, it's a different generation, different technology.
Wow. You're also an author of a book. Let's talk about we speak about writing. Let's talk about your books that you have, and what encouraged you to write?
I have always loved to write. Writing has always been a joy for me, and really helping me to express myself. First and foremost, I love to read.
Okay.
So when you love to read and read all different types of literature, I've been reading books since I was, 8 or 9 years old, up to 1,000-page books. Everything that my mother read, I read.
Okay.
So everything that she had, I would read it, and really that just really piqued my interest of how to write. And I've been writing since I was a little girl, but of course I didn't have the realization, hey, I can actually publish my own book. That wasn't something that dawned on me that I could really do. I'd started some things in the past, but just really didn't have the encouragement and really didn't have the drive at that time because of other issues in my life. But then it was just a point in time where I knew that I had to tell my story because I knew that it would help someone. So I wrote the book, started it the end of 2017 and finished it at the end of 2018. And it is really amazing how my story can impact other people. I really didn't know that it was going to have as much effect as it has so far.
Now, has it been published?
It is published.
And where may one get a copy?
You can get a copy of my book by going on Amazon, and you can look up Making Fit Happen for Me, My Journey from Hurt to Wholeness. And so not only does it talk about my experience of how I, came through and worked on my own wellness and my own fitness, it invites the reader to think about their own lives and how they can become healthy, spirit, soul, and body. So it's a great read.
Speaking about reading, though, if a child is having difficulty, I think experts have mentioned about the third grade. If they're behind in the third grade, they're going to have difficulty all the way through school. And the problem is that the dropout rate is very high in high school, because of difficulty in reading. If a child drops out in high school, what are they going to do in a community but do the things that cause them to be incarcerated?
Right.
So but it's something about the third grade. I don't know whether you've
I have not heard anything like
about
that.
It's something about the third grade that, it's going to be, you're going to get progressively worse all the way through.
Well, I don't know if you've heard of Cops and Kids now that you mentioned that. So my daughter actually wrote her first book. She's 11 years old. And there was a program that was either part of honoring her and some of the other young authors, because there's more. There's a lot of them.
Okay.
And Julia, let me get her name right. Is it Julia Witherspoon? I'm not exactly sure. I think that I'm messing up her name. But she is a former cop that founded Cops and Kids Reading Center in Racine. And part of their curriculum
I've heard of that,
is helping children to learn how to read. So I think in that aspect, once you see children that are struggling, we have to take the initiative to get them into these programs so that they're not falling further behind. Because the school does not always deal with those issues. Sometimes they just move them forward, no child left behind, but yet the child is moving forward and they're not progressing. So I think programs like that are very important, and they have really a high success rate. So I think that is part of the solution too, making sure that we have these mentoring programs and other places that children can go where they can continue that reading.
I have to congratulate you too about thinking beyond yourself, so that's service above self. You're a previous volunteer at Daisy's Resource Development Center, right? Tell us about
about 30 years ago. So that was something that I think was very valuable about going to that school. That was part of our curriculum, part of our religion credit. We had a religion course, and part of our credit was to go out and do volunteer service in our community. And it was really a great experience because it taught me that you don't have to do everything for money. What you do that doesn't take money can open up doors for other people and doors for you. So it was really my first work experience, and just meeting you guys there. You facilitated me being able to register to vote and all of those good things.
I can't forget that.
Yes, that was wonderful. So being in the community and volunteering people are meeting you, and it opens up doors for you, and you never know who it will impact later. Now I'm also volunteering with Teen and Single Mother Resource Center, which was founded by my good friend Dr. Vaughn, and that's pretty much how I have the job that I do today, because I was in contact with her, and she connected me with Dr. Teresa Tangonen, which is the founder of our school. And so making those connections has helped me to have a dream job, working with young people and helping them to be educated. A lot of the student body are single moms, and I was a single mom for about 3 years before my husband and I got married. And I understand what the struggles can be, you know, just to be a young mom and really being able to navigate. And most of these young ladies don't have a lot of support. I had an amazing support system. And so what happens is we become that support system at the school.
This is fantastic. Now, you mentioned the school. You mentioned you have a school, or you mean to Waukegan to college?
No, well, I work at State Career College.
State Career College. Okay. And I was going to ask about the you mentioned about a preparation for a women's conference. Do you have women's conferences each year?
Well, I've been invited to a few different events. There's been women's conferences and women's retreat. I was at Mount Sinai's women's retreat last year. There was also some other events in women's group that I've gone to, mainly predominantly in churches. I've also gone to Waukegan Township and conducted exercise classes for them. I've been to the Staben House, and we've done some fitness coaching and exercises with them as well. So really getting out into the community and, you know, just giving information about what I know.
How do you get clients, and maybe into Vaughn's too, how do you get clients to participate?
Well, pretty much getting people to participate is finding those that are interested. You know, I would say most of the marketing that I do is on Facebook, so just offering the opportunity for help, but really sharing my story, really letting people know, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. And that is a big deal, because people know that if I was able to lose weight, if I was able to change my life in spite of the situations that I've been in, that they could also make those same changes. So getting people to participate is really finding those that are willing to make those changes.
How do you use the media to enhance the business?
Social media is amazing. Social media is amazing because really where we get a lot of our news and all our information now is through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We see all these social media sites, and this sometimes replaces the news for a lot of people. So I figure if people are going to be watching, if people are going to be listening, why not give them the resources and information that they need? So I use it to just talk about different topics, get information about the things that I offer. I was talking on one of my Facebook pages a couple of days ago about launching into the unknown, like walking in faith, and really talking to people about how do you navigate in faith in spite of what your family has told you, in spite of how you were raised, in spite of your circumstances, really being able to step out in faith and really sharing my story and how I've been able to step out over the years in spite of, you know, my own insecurities.
So they could see the challenges and obstacles that you went through with, and they wouldn't, they can overcome theirs by seeing yours.
Absolutely. Being their testimony.
Oh man.
A living testimony.
We speak about faith too, though, the importance of church in your life.
That is so huge in my life. My big mentor, I would say, my spiritual father, was Apostle Leon C. Cozy, and he did pass away this year. But I could say he was a coach. And the reason he was a coach, even though he did not use that title, he really helped us, I would say, as a people to pull out our best qualities.
Okay.
What are you good at, and how can you use your strengths to make your life better and to make other people's life better? It really taught me a lot about being a support to my community, being a giver. That was a big thing for him, being a giver, and also bringing people in the body of Christ together. That was something that he really taught us, and really taught us about love. And so now I'm serving under his son, Roland Cozy, so Love and Grace Worship Center. So a lot of that foundation that I learned from him, now I can use that today in what I'm doing.
Speaking of Apostle Cozy, my family will always remember him because he gave our family literally the red carpet treatment.
Wonderful.
Had a carpet rolled out from the limousine to pick us up, and
Yes.
the red carpet. And you were on the program too. That's when I found
Absolutely.
out you could sing too.
That's right. That's right.
That was one of the. Oh, speaking of Pastor Cozy, I have a tape in his memory. I want you to give
Okay.
Leon Cozy. This is 2014.
Okay,
And I'd like
wonderful.
to give that to you.
Awesome.
And I know you always remember him, but
Yes.
I'd
Okay.
like to give you that.
I would definitely pass that on to Cheryl Y. Cozy.
Yes.
Yes,
yeah.
I will.
Right.
Yes.
We call this a wellness center. Why do you call it a wellness center?
What do you mean?
Wellness center. It's I guess.
Well, I don't have a physical center, but my business is called Purpose to Prosper, Inspiration, and Fitness.
Okay.
So I do deal with wellness. So when
Okay.
we think of wellness, there is a health continuum.
Okay.
There's illness, and then wellness is at the very end of that continuum. And so pretty much what we're all trying to do in this life, hopefully, we start out, most of us, well, and then over time, we sort of deviate a little bit based on our habits, based on things that happen. But pretty much wellness is just a continuum of health.
Okay.
So we're not always going to be perfect, but if we want to lean towards the better end, the higher end, we have to do those practices, those healthy eating, exercise, learning how to deal with stress, learning how to increase our spiritual walk, learning how to be emotionally sound. And let me tell you one big thing. So, I went through a lot of things in life. I had never gone to therapy.
Okay.
And so some issues that happened in my family, and I realized maybe there's some things that I still need to work through. So I actually went to therapy one time. And I was thinking in my head, okay, I always tell people they need to go. I always advocate for it, but I'd never done it myself. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm just going to sit here and talk to this woman, and it's not going to be a big deal. But it was very helpful. Even that one time that I went, just making me see some things in my life and why I may have done certain things the way I did. So having gone to therapy, I can honestly tell people I've had the experience, and that it should be something that anyone, especially somebody that's had a traumatic experience, a life-changing experience, we all need to partake in that, especially in the Black community, because a lot of times that's taboo. But it was very helpful, and I do plan to go back and see this young lady again and really work through some issues, because I want to make sure that I'm clear in 2020 to do the work that God called me to do, and I don't want any barriers in my way.
Okay, being a healthy lifestyle coach, author, and a speaker, I mean, it's very challenging in your life, and helpful to many others. That I'm sure they're going to come back and tell you how helpful you have been to them.
Yes.
You spoke about Purpose to Prosper, Inspiration, and Fitness. You want to tell us a little about how you came up with that?
I was, I think I was on a trail with my friend walking, and I really was thinking about starting my business after I stopped working with Weight Watchers.
Yeah.
I wanted to continue that, and I wanted to provide fitness instruction and just help people, because working at Weight Watchers, I helped over 100 people to lose weight and get healthy and change their lifestyle. In fact, a couple of my members that I work with lost over 100 pounds. So I knew that, that there was something that worked, and I knew that I was part of that change. So I figured, how can I have my own business where I can incorporate not only that physical component, that emotional component, but also the spiritual component because of my belief system. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to start doing fitness classes at the church, so I need a name. Okay. And so I thought about, I think it's 3 John, and it says, brethren, I wish that you would prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. And so that's part of that. And I always have realized that we are here for a purpose. So that would be Jeremiah 29. I know the plans that I have for you to give you hope, a future, and an expected end. So that's in Jeremiah 29. So that deals with purpose. So our purpose in this life is to prosper. And so that's what I said. The purpose is to prosper. And so that's where I came up with the name. And it was health and fitness, but then it changed to inspiration and fitness, because I'm here to help you to get fit, but also to inspire you to continue to work on yourself.
Emphasize on prosper. People look at prosper as a monetary gain. But I usually tell people that I have never seen a Brinks truck behind a hearse yet.
Exactly.
And so that's wasn't what Christ mentioned when he mentioned about prospering, right?
Right. Being prosperous is not only about finances, because if you're not well and you're laying in a hospital bed, you're not really going to enjoy the benefits of what money could buy. It doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're not able to get up and walk in your purpose, what good is money?
Okay. Well, let's emphasize a little bit on the books that you have. I know you have 2 books. You want to
I have a couple of them here today.
Okay.
So this is the first book. This is the book that we spoke of. This is my first book, Making Fit Happen for Me, My Journey from Hurt to Wholeness. Okay. And as I said, you can get that on Amazon. And if you do want to contact me for your own personalized copy and pay a little less, because if you get it through me directly, you will get a discount in that way. So you can contact me through Facebook. You can inbox me, P2P Inspire or Inspire Books 5. So if you go on Facebook and go to any of those sites, you can get on there and get that book. Another book that I have here, I definitely want to shout out my daughter. So me writing a book really inspired my daughter, who also is a natural author and writer who loves to read. And so she has her first book. It came out in June of this year, and it's called The Adventures of the Power Twins. So it's really a delightful little adventurous, fanciful tale talking about superheroes, and the main characters are female twins. And as we can see, a lot of times, in the past, we didn't have like a lot of female superheroes, but we realize now that women can be superheroes and children can be heroes. And so that's what her book focuses on. And it's wonderful. And it's talking about how this group of kids was able to save their kingdom from evil creatures and villains and bad guys. So it's really cool, really fun, and it's full of faith as well. So I definitely recommend this. This is her first book. And in 2020, she'll be coming out with some more books. And my next book is coming out in January of next year. So I don't have it just yet. We're still working on the finishing touches. But that is called Miraculously Made Women's Healthy Lifestyle Journal. So it is a place for women to be able to track their progress, a place where they can talk about their eating, their exercise. It has a place to talk about what are you grateful for, what are your prayers for today, and it also talks about all those different aspects of health. So there will be devotionals that talk about mental health, spiritual health. It'll talk about sleep. It talks about stress. It talks about self-care. So there's all these different components of the healthy lifestyle, and women will be able to take that book and those resources, and they will, in 6 months, my hope, 6 months after completing this book, they're going to be healthier than they were at the start of the year. So that is the goal for that book. 6 months to a healthier you.
Well, tell me this, Does a doctor has to recommend you have a healthy living, or does the person take the initiative to change their lifestyle?
I think
Yes.
that it
What-
really depends on the person.
Okay.
Some people, there are different stages of change, and I do talk about that in the book. You know, it starts off being pre-contemplative, then you're contemplative, then you are starting to take the action, the planning stage, then the action stage, and then the maintenance stage. So it really depends on what stage you're in. Sometimes if you go to a doctor and get a really good scare, they say,
Okay.
hey, you're pre-diabetic, or hey, you need to make some changes. That's when people make changes. And then other times, you know, it's when you see your life going down the wrong path. For me, it wasn't a doctor that told me anything. You know, all my numbers were right. I was in my 20s, and, you know, I didn't have diabetes or anything like that. But my marriage was going through a lot. And so what my thoughts were, you know, being obese, I really thought in myself, if something happens with me and my husband, and I need to care for my children, how would I do so? I was thinking to myself, I've already lost a mom early, and I want to be there for my children. And so that really prompted me to say, hey, you know what? I need to do something, because that was always something that I would speak and proclaim, because I believe in the power of your words. I would say, I'm not going out like that. I'm not going to die from heart disease or diabetes or high blood pressure. I always said, I'm not having that in my life. However, I wasn't taking the action to make that prophecy that I have for myself come true. So I would say it, but faith without works is dead. So I knew at some point in my life I would have to take the steps to be a healthier me.
I mentioned that because in my life, I served on the school board in North Chicago for 5 years, and I would go down to a location people may know, the older people, JD's, Kennard Club, and so
Okay.
forth. But someone at that club, and I don't remember who that person was, but I have to congratulate him and say, Brooks, we don't want you down here. You're taking care of our kids in North Chicago, and it just doesn't mix. We don't want you down here taking care of our kids there. And I thought about that. It didn't take me long to really think about what happens, and I've seen many things happen down there, you know, and I said, that's not the place for me. But that changed my thinking altogether and I hadn't thought about going down there. Of course, it doesn't exist anymore,
Okay.
you know, now.
Yeah, because I haven't heard of it.
No, it's
It's a little bit before my time.
yeah, and it doesn't exist. The community development, I guess, you know, this type of thing. But that was one of the things that really turned me around, got me thinking. It didn't take much, because I could have been involved in a lot of other things, you know.
Absolutely.
So actually, you've talked about the importance of family. So if people you could give them some encouraging data about family.
Well-
I mean, not because God ordained family first, you know.
Okay.
So I showed the importance emphasis that he placed on family. So it's so important.
I think family is important, and really, honestly, my greatest experience has been with how to navigate in a blended family.
Okay.
Because my dad remarried, so I have a blended family in that, and then my son is not biologically my son, so we're blended in that way.
Okay.
And so when dealing with family, I think the most important things is to really deal with those issues within families and learn how to communicate.
Okay.
Because a lot of times
good
when
point.
you're dealing with families, especially blended families, there's a lot of hurt and resentment that could be not talked about. So it's like you see the elephant in the room, but you're not dealing with it. You're not doing anything to work on it. And I think it's really important. What I've learned to do is make sure that I'm doing my part within that family, that I'm not carrying anything. That's one of the reasons I thought about therapy. I need to make sure that what I'm feeling is okay, and that if there's something that I'm doing that could be detrimental to my family, that I need to make some changes, because that's part of the stress that we have. That's part of our health. If we have all this stress and all these things going on within our families, and we are having unhealthy habits because of those things, then we're not going to live the long, healthy life that God has for us. So I think family is first. Our churches, our communities are made up of families. If we have an unhealthy family, we're going to have an unhealthy church. We're going to have an unhealthy neighborhood, unhealthy community. And we can see all the things around us that are a product of these families that are dysfunctional. So that's important. I need to deal with that dysfunction head on first within myself, and then we take it outward and say, hey, where are we going wrong here?
Well, you gave a potential solution to why we having so many problems in our churches. Because it starts with family.
Yeah.
If you have dysfunctional family, go to church, then you're dysfunctional church. We have approximately, 3,000 denominations in the world, I guess, and so we have so many denominations because of dysfunctional
Right.
families, and then someone goes up and say they want to start a church and so forth.
Started with Martin Luther,
Yeah,
the Protestant movement.
but tell us about your what's specific, what things are happening in your church that will cause people to unite with your church.
Well, what I can say that I really love about Love and Grace Worship Center is that we are very family oriented. So it is about the family, and it is about, really talking about what are the things that are going on in our homes that are maybe causing some issues. If we can deal with the family and deal with our homes and dealing with bringing our families together, then we will have better churches. So that's something that we teach on. We do have something Wednesday night at 7:45. We have life class.
Oh.
And so it's not like your typical Bible study where somebody's up, teaching at you.
Yeah.
We're sitting around a table. We have our Bibles, we have our materials, and we're talking about what are the life situations that we have today, and how can we apply these scriptures to these life situations. Not about what happened back then and Daniel in the lion's den. That
Okay.
was great for them.
Okay.
But what is our lion's den? What are we dealing with as families, as people, and how can we overcome those things like we see the people have done in the Bible? So I think that's really important, being able to truly apply that word, not to just read it, but to study and apply it and make it living in our lives. What does it mean, when we read that Bible? So I think that is a really great reason that people should align with our church. Also, that we're just so real. We're real people. We're not a fake people. If things are happening, we're honest about the things that are happening. We're honest, word-based church, and we love people, and that comes from Apostle Cozy. We truly do love people, and that's what I hear from a lot of people that come and visit. We could feel the love when we walked in the door. And we know a lot of churches, when somebody comes in, if they're not dressed the right way, if they
Okay.
look a certain way, sometimes they get a look that
Okay.
they're not welcome. And that's something that people won't say when they come there. They say, hey, you're welcome. Come on in, sit down, and get what God has for you.
What about the community activity?
Community activities. So we are working on, coming up in the next year, just really trying to work on evangelism. I
Okay.
think that's a lot of what's missing in our churches and
Yeah.
why our churches are not growing, because we are missing that component of actually going out and doing evangelistic moves. But I know we have had, we did like a family and community day before where we were out and we had food and we were just fellowshipping with the community and, just talking to people. Just getting out there and showing people that church is not just about the four walls. Also, we were involved with Women Enough, Women Enough, Deidre Collins. She has her non-for-profit, and they did the Toys for Tots drive, and that's something that we did through the church as well, just being a center and helping her to get that set up. So we are all about the community and really getting out there and helping and seeing the need. Also going to other churches. We've been to other churches and actually conducted some services with them. We sung with their praise and worship teams and helped that. So it's not just about one church body. we're all a community. So that's, like I said, something that we learned. It's not just about your church and then my church. We are supposed to be together.
Okay.
We're supposed to be united, and that's something that we do as well. Anytime there's a church that needs help, maybe they're having a conference, maybe they're having something that they're doing, we want to go ahead and, get with them with what they're doing. We don't need to recreate the wheel if somebody's already doing something in the community, like Praise in the Park. I know Kingdom Life Ministry does that every year, and so we come out and help with Praise in the Park. So that's important too. Don't create your own thing if it's something already out there. We don't need 20 million book bag drives. If we have one good book bag drive and all churches participated, that would be great. We don't need 4 or 5 of them. Let's get with the people that are doing them. Why would I do a book bag drive if they're already doing it somewhere else? It's not a competition.
Right.
Let's get together and let's make their event better. So that's what it's all about too.
One comment, and I won't have to belabor on it, but we used to have Bibles in the church. Everyone would come to church with the Bible. Hopefully they're not just Bible toting.
Right, exactly.
But now with this electronic, you got your telephone and so we don't have Bibles in the church anymore. And then we have the screens too, with scriptures on the screen and churches. So between the screens and also the
handheld devices.
You don't have people carrying Bibles anymore. So I don't know. Maybe
I have one in my purse.
You got
my school. Actually, when I graduated with my master's, I went to a private college, Grand Canyon University, and that's actually one of the gifts that they gave to us.
Okay. And this is fantastic. And their organization that leave Bibles in hotels too, I guess.
Oh yeah, Gideon.
These every year they come to our church and emphasize this. So actually, I spoke about using the media to enhance your business, but enhance your church activity too. Do you use Facebook?
We do. You can go to Love and Grace WC on Facebook and also Love and Grace WC on Instagram, and you'll see some of the activities that we have been involved in and we have conducted. So yes, I think people always say negative things about social media, but there's so many positive messages out there. You just have to, weed through some of the garbage to get to some of the treasures.
Well, speaking of community activity, I noticed that you came in fired up and looking like Santa Claus. So actually, what you out Christmas caroling? Is that your own? Is that through the church?
So every year, that's actually through State Career College, and so this will be the 5th year. I thought that it's important for our students to get out in the community and go to some of these places that they would potentially be working in the future. And so I usually take a group of the students with me, and we go to like the different hospitals. We've done the Cancer Treatment Center before. This year we only did Vista East, and so what we did is we went to every floor and we did Christmas caroling, and it was such a joy to see some of the people. There was a little boy that was on the pediatric floor, and he came out. He had to be about 2 years old, and it brought a lot of joy to him. And really what it's going to show those students is this is the type of work that you're going to be doing, and this is who you're going to be working with. So giving them a sense of responsibility for being a part of their community. So yes, that was through State Career College. So we do caroling every year. And it was really great. And also what we did, there was people that donated towards Mariah's book. So they bought her books, and I gave out some books to some of the kids on the floor. And so that was a great thing to do. So while they're there, if there's in the hospital, they have something to read.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I tell you, I don't want to miss on this opportunity to let you know there are 3 types of people in the world.
Okay.
Probably many more, but I narrowed them down to 3. Those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that wonder what's happening. So I have to say, you are one that make things happen, and I want to congratulate you on that. You know. Now you have. Tell us about some of the goals that will keep you focused.
The goals that will keep me focused. So some of my goals, I would say, going into 2020.
Okay.
Really, a big one for me is completing my education.
Okay.
So that is a big goal for me. I definitely want to begin conducting research, and when I start working towards my dissertation, it is definitely going to be on how we can keep women in our community healthy, specifically Black women. My mother died of a heart attack. Both of my grandmothers had heart disease as well. I had an aunt with heart disease. So this is a widespread within our community. So that is one of the things that I'm going to be working on, because I want to see what is going to work so that we will remain healthy. What is going to motivate us to create those healthier habits and continue on that path to wellness. So that's a goal. Another goal for me is definitely continuing to expand enlarge my territory. So I've been to 2 states, done conferences in 2 states. I've done different conferences and different workshops in Lake County, and then I was invited to a program in Kenosha, so that's Wisconsin.
Okay.
So one of my goals is to travel and bring my message of health and wellness to other people in the United States. So that is a big goal for me, and that is one of the reasons that I wrote my book that's coming out in January, is because when I go out to different places, I want to be able to leave a tool with them, so that just because I get them fired up that one day and they're really motivated, I want something that they can hold in their hand to continue to work on their purpose and work on continuing to be motivated. Because we're fired up in the beginning, but how can we continue to be fired up and excited about being healthy? As we know, New Year's is here.
Well, tell us about, oh boy, we've been talking about, you have a very healthy lifestyle career. We didn't mention about you, a former service coordinator with the Lake County Health Department. Really?
I was a service coordinator, yes, working with the children and families, children ages 0 to 3 population. So really helping to get them services. So that's what I did for 10 years.
Wow. Okay. We have to. You're a former leader at Weight Watchers International.
Yes, sir. You've been reading my Facebook page. Yes, I did that for 5 years. I did that for 5 years.
Okay. Well, we can't miss anything. We say you're a person that Lake County should know.
Yes.
So we want to let them know why. Oh, by the way, they can go on your Facebook page and get all of this information about you, right?
They can, absolutely.
And that Facebook is, let's see, we say Kenya MD Gray, Gray.
Gray. Or they can go to P2P Inspire or Inspire Books 5. So I have 2 different pages that they can view with the information about coaching and my books, and as far as like fitness classes and, different things that I do within the community.
Fantastic. Former advocate at A Safe Place, Lake County Crisis Center.
Yeah, so working with domestic violence survivors.
And that's really a challenge too, right?
It is, because I think a lot of times women don't realize their worth, and they are in these relationships that are emotionally and physically damaging. And what happens within that as well, the children are affected.
Okay.
So it was really, to me, that was one of my favorite positions, because I was able to use my gifts of inspiration. So we used to do, not only did we create service plans for those young ladies to move on with their lives past the abuse, but I also got a chance to do groups with them, being able to encourage them to know their worth, to know who they were, and to really be happy with who they were. Because a lot of times if you're in these abusive relationships, your esteem is challenged. You don't know who you are. So we did self-esteem groups, and that was so motivating and beneficial for me. And also working there showed me a little bit about myself and how I was affected by things in life. So it was a win-win.
And I noticed you have a great following too, about 600 people, right?
Oh yeah, on my one page I do. And the other one I have like almost, I have 2,000 on my other page.
Oh my goodness.
So I got 2 pages.
Okay.
The one's been running longer. The one I have for the one that I created for my book, I created last year sometime. So that one has about 600. But don't miss the other one. That one's like 200. 2,000.
Wow, wow. This is fantastic. Well,
So hopefully it'll help me to grow. Go like both of my pages. So
great.
Kenya MD Gray, Healthy Lifestyle Coach, and then Purpose to Prosper, Inspiration and Fitness. So go like those pages and share.
Oh, this is
So people know who I am.
Right, right. Well, I want to thank you very much again for sharing. And there's funding. Do you have to have funding to do what you're doing?
In certain aspects, but what I'm trying to do, there is a component that is for profit. Of course, it's a business, but I am working on doing some more non-for-profit activities. Like when I go out and do like fitness classes, like ones recently I've done for the township and for
Okay.
Lion Magnet School, I went out and worked out with the teachers. Those things are not for profit. So I really am trying to find a way to really help out the community where it's not about financial gain. Like for instance, I have been doing since October free fitness classes at the North Chicago Community Center. But the problem is people don't show up for it. I'll only
Amazing.
get a couple of people. So it's there. So that is my task at hand. How to get people interested in taking care of their health. Because that's the thing. I can offer the services, but I can't make you come and be a healthier you. You have to want it. So that is my charge, to figure out how can I motivate people so they want it and they want to live longer, healthier lives. How can I change the mentality of just sitting around and being couch potatoes, a lot of us are, and I did it for many years, or of eating the things that are killing us.
Okay.
All this cholesterol and this extra fat. I want to be able to get that word out there so people want it and say, I want to be a better me.
Okay. Kenya MD Gray, soon to be a doctor.
Absolutely.
But right now, it's Kenya Marlene, is it?
Mary Darlene.
Mary Darlene, great. We want to thank you very much for sharing your time on Community Forum. This is one way that we have hoped to give you an opportunity to let Lake County know who you are. We know who you are,
Well,
but we want to let Lake County know.
I appreciate you.
And I want our listening audience to go online, drbrooks.tv, and to watch the program and see what way they can volunteer to participate to help you.
Absolutely. Come on board.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Community Forum. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.